God is going to share with us this morning, amen. And, today's teaching is the God of the big and the small. We're going to look at Jehoshaphat, and we're going to learn some things today. But Jehoshaphat was a great man of God. He did a lot of good things. And then there were some things that he did that was not so good, which means he was a lot like you and a lot like me. And I believe a lot of you have done some good things, amen? And you do good things, and I think you're good people. How many of you know good people still do some not so good things sometimes? Amen? Doesn't mean that you're not a good person. Doesn't mean you're not a God person. Amen? Doesn't mean you don't fear the Lord. It means that you're human, and sometimes you will follow your flesh.
Yes.
Even the best, even the most seasoned saint sometimes follows their flesh. At least the honest ones. The other ones walk around deceiving themselves as if they get it all right. Well, if you get it all right, then you don't need Jesus anymore. Amen?
Amen.
I don't know about you, but I always need the Lord. Amen. So Jehoshaphat was good man, good leader, a godly man, and I think we can take some things away from his life. So we want to look today at Jehoshaphat. And as we do, we want to keep in mind what God is saying unto us, that he is the God of the big and the small. Somebody has some big things in their life going on, about to go on. God's the God of that. A lot of us just got some small stuff. God is the God of that too. And he's the God of everything in between. And here's the thing is that, like Jehoshaphat, and we're going to see this in a minute, sometimes we're pretty good at making God the God of the big. But we're not so good at making God the God of the small. And when we ignore God in the small things and we don't allow him to be the God of the small, then we mess up in a big way. I mean, you know, it's the small things that lead to the biggest mistakes in your life. The big things that we can't see our way out of, it seems that many times that may, you know, when we're scared, that may get us on our knees. But when it's a big thing that you want, those are the things that seems people don't go to God over. I really want to move my family. And what a great opportunity in this new state or this new neighborhood. Great school system. See, those are the things that seem to start to drive our decision making. I've been speaking to some people. They got great schools. They got some good shopping. The bus stop for the kids is right down the street. I mean, it's like everything. I just know God is opening. You just know. Because it's everything you want. And it's amazing that if we want it, we don't seem to really think that we need to check God for it. But when it's something that comes upon us that we don't want, when it's some, you know, big problem or whatever, then maybe we find ourselves to God a little bit quicker. But how many of you know, in both the good and the bad, we need to go to God quickly. Amen. Not just when, you know, it's something that's overwhelming in a negative fashion, but how many of you know every good thing, which appears to be good, may not be for you at that time. Amen. And you still have to ask God for it. But Jehoshaphat, we see first and foremost, he set himself to seek the Lord. Amen. And then it said he proclaimed a fast. And so he's seeking God, he's praying, and he's fasting. Those are good things when you have a decision that needs to be made. And then look how Jehoshaphat did. He did something here that I think is helpful for us as well. He went into the congregation, and in verse number 6, he said, God, he said, are you not the God of heaven? And don't you rule over all the kingdoms of all the nations and the people? Isn't your hand powerful and mighty that none can withstand you? You know what he's saying? God, aren't you in control? How many of you know that God's in control of that situation you're about to get in? Yes, he is. He's in control of the situation you're in right now. So they're standing there, amen, everybody's there. And then a word of the Lord came upon one of the prophets who was standing near. Hearken ye all Judah, and ye inhabitants of Jerusalem, and thou King Jehoshaphat, thus saith the Lord unto you, Be not afraid. Amen. God will always calm your fears. Amen. It has to start there because fear contaminates our faith. Amen. And so it has to start there. Be not afraid. So the first thing, if you're a little nervous, a little anxious this morning, God's saying to you, be not afraid. Don't be worried. Don't be anxious. Don't be dismayed. Amen. Be not afraid nor dismayed by reason of this great multitude. Why not? For the battle is not yours, but God. We know what happens now. They now go in and they collect the spoil. 3 days of collecting. Amen. Praising God. And so we see Jehoshaphat as a leader. Here's the thing that I think we have to be concerned about with Jehoshaphat. This was a big problem in his life. And he acted this way in the midst of this big problem. But see, Jehoshaphat, he as much as he was spiritually strong and he had these great qualities and he would seek the Lord, Jehoshaphat had a failing that many of us have as well. And that is when it comes to the things that are not so big, he didn't seek God out. For example, Jehoshaphat let his son marry Ahab's daughter. I mean, you know, King Ahab was evil. So now he was aligned with this evil empire in Israel. And that's why when Ahab came to him, when he wanted to go fight the Syrians, Ahab did, he said, Jehoshaphat, will you fight with me? And Jehoshaphat, said, I'll fight with you. And the next thing you know, it said Jehoshaphat and Ahab went up. Isn't that something? Maybe it's because it was the two of them against one, and they figured they had this. Well, why Jehoshaphat? I mean, he even said, you got a prophet, and the prophet prophesied the word of the Lord, and Jehoshaphat just kept on going. Wow. How did he do that? This great man of God who's so spiritually minded. How did he do it? How do we do it? Because we get confidence in that I got enough for the down payment, or I got enough education, or I got enough for this. And so we start counting up what we got. We think we can just go ahead and do it. Because, see, this is a small thing. See, when that thing was too big for us, we were just like Jehoshaphat. Oh, Lord, help me. We're praying and we're fasting and we're praising and we're doing all these things. But now this one comes up. We think we can have, I got this one. Wow. And he went ahead. And then watch this. They got into the battle. And Ahab disguised himself. Because, see, the king looks a certain way. Ahab disguised himself, and he told Jehoshaphat, you keep on your robes. And when the Syrians came to fight, the command from the Syrian army, the commander was, don't worry about anybody else, just go after and capture and kill the king. Yes. And so when the fight got on, right, they came after Jehoshaphat. Because he had on his royal stuff. And he's trying to get away in his chariot. And he called upon God. See? Now he in a big mess. What did he do? He called on God. Oh, Lord, help me. And it said the Lord turned those chariot men away. See, because that was too big for him. He called on God right away. This one, he figured it out for himself. I can go into the battle. We have to learn from that, amen. God is the God of the big and of the small. Don't just call on God, depend on God, look to God for that thing that's too big for you. You also need to look at Him for the other thing you think you can do. But he nearly lost his life. Jesus. Because he thought this was something that he already figured out and he already had the answer to. I don't need to check into God for this one. Wow. God is the God of the big and the small.